What's up, banana bunch? Bunch? Bunch?
Welcome to the Junglejims podcast. What's up, Banana Bunch? You know what time it is. It's time for another episode of the Junglejims podcast. I'm your host, Mark. Welcome to the show. We got a great one for you like always. I'm excited this week. I'm joined by Shawn Braley of the Commonwealth Sanctuary. It sounds very important, and that's because it is. It's a comedy club. And we've got some upcoming collabs we're working on. We're trying some different products throughout the store, some international beverages, one of my favorite sections. But in the meantime, I thought I'd do a nice, cute little intro. We haven't done one of these in a while. You know, I think I'm one of those few young people that still really likes tactile feedback. And so every so often I do like to physically flip through this. You can hear it. I love the sound of the paper. I think you probably do for the sake of this video. But of course, you know, if you also like convenience, I will definitely recommend that you get the Junglejims app. So we have an app now. It's available for iPhone. It's available for Android devices. It's got great things in it like the weekly ad, and you get to see next week's ad. I think it's on Thursday, so you get a little early regardless. Most importantly, will be things like app-exclusive deals. Like this week, for example, we've got some app-exclusive deals to get a little extra discount on things like Stella cheese wedges. So they've got a couple different options, like some aged Asiago, Romano. One of my favorite basic crackers, like if you're doing a charcuterie board, they're this crostini Tuscan crackers and like a little clear and it's like reddish orange. I'm a little colorblind, so bear with me, but it's in the ballpark of that. But those are only $2.99 this week. They're great. They're like really, they pair with everything. They're pretty basic crackers, but like great crunch, great amount of salt, all that stuff. Highly recommended. You know, it's Valentine's Day week, so I'm also thinking about the cute stuff. Now you've got some things like you go classic, do a little surf and turf, right? So we got lobster tails on sale, $6.99 a piece. We're doing filet mignons at $23.99 a pound. Normally they're probably, I think, around like 26-ish a pound. So that's, I love a little discount there. All live oysters are $1 this week. That's a killer one. You got to hit the aphrodisiac note. You know what I mean? Cocktail shrimp. I'm excited. I love it when this happens. You get the $2.99 cut party wings because you know I love some wings. And I go home, toss those babies in the air fryer, nice and juicy and crispy. Heck yes. I won't reveal my favorite rub, but it's non-traditional. I love it so much. It's one of those things that every time I do it, and if I share it with all of my friends that listen to this are like, I know exactly what you're talking about, Mark. Anytime I share it with people, we all have the same reaction. Like, wow, I still can't believe this isn't on anyone's menu here in town. But one day, but I'll only give you the secret if you put my name on it. Yeah, I love that. Anyway, we were talking about the deals. Oh, the app, you know, I should mention this too. You're watching or listening to the podcast. Most of you listen. I would love if more of you watched along with us on YouTube. But you can also see on the app the 5 most recent episodes of the podcast. That's probably my favorite part, right? Yeah. Anyway, we've got all kinds of things. I always like getting on my soapbox about this because one of the things I buy here all the time are fresh cut, like the pre-cut fruit box. Not boxes, tubs, I don't know what you want to call them, plastic containers. And you know that we cut them in store because if you walk far enough down the vegetable aisle, you can actually see the people doing it. I think the biggest conspiracy theory in the grocery game is that every big box retailer claims to do the same thing. And I just don't know that that's true. I have no real basis for this, except here's the basis. I've stuck my head in enough areas I wasn't supposed to go to over the course of my life in other businesses, and I've never seen anyone cutting fruit, at least not in the last 10 years. So I just don't believe it. But here, it is fresh. It is cut. And I don't even think the public would be that upset if they were like, yeah, you just ship in refrigerated stuff. But I like that we do that here. It does seem a little fresher. Anyway, I'm hyped because the mixed melon's on sale. And I know a lot of you are not honeydew enthusiasts. Sometimes you're wrong for that. Sometimes it's great. But I do love a little cantaloupe. Something that you shouldn't do this weekend, cantaloupe. Last but not least, in the produce thing, I was really excited about this. I saw this the other day. AJ over there brought in, they're from Driscoll's. They're giant strawberries, and they come in a plastic heart-shaped box. And as much as I want to sing the Nirvana song to you right now, I'm actually more like, oh, that's really cute. And when we were shooting our TikTok about this, Lucky goes, he's like, oh, yeah, this will be great for dipping in chocolate. And I realized, I was like, oh yeah, that's like a weird ritual that I feel like has been discussed a lot in like modern times, that I just like, was I never loved properly? Because I've never, ever, in all the relationships I've ever been in, I don't think we've ever done chocolate dipped strawberries. Like maybe we've eaten some, but we've never made them together. I do love that concept, and it sounds fun. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like I'm always in the type like, we're going to see the new Blue Angels movie at the Omnimax, and then we're probably going to eat dumplings at a very strange restaurant. You know what I mean? Like that's more the speed that I'm flying at. But I do love that. And I should mention the reason we brought this up. The strawberries themselves were huge. Like if you look in the box, it was like maybe 2 could fit in my palm, and they're bright red. They looked really, really good. It was one of those where I was like, oh, I should definitely take a box of these back to the office. But I'll save it. Maybe we'll use them this weekend. I have no idea. Dip them in chocolate, then dip them in your partner's mouth. Power move. Okay, on that, let's dive onto the real part of the show. I'm very excited to introduce you to Shawn Braley. He's a comedian. He is an integral part of the Commonwealth Sanctuary. It's a great comedy club. I have a feeling we've got more collabs coming up in the future. We're talking about some upcoming guest swaps and all that kind of stuff. This is the game, folks. Support your friends, and then they'll support you back. It's pretty cool. Anyway, excited for you to meet Shawn. Excited for you to try some of these drinks and other treats that we found. Let's just jump into the interview, shall we?
Mark Borison?
Exactly.
Is that what it is?
I actually get that one weirdly more than you'd think, especially when they're calling places like, is it Borison? I'm like, yeah, you know what? Let's do that. That's what it is.
I'm Borison today.
Yeah, exactly. Borison Wireless. I think we should just jump in with this. This is already fun.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Shawn Braley.
Thanks for having me.
Commonwealth Sanctuary. Yeah, amongst other things, comedian, filmmaker. I think you're the first Emmy winner in the studio.
Oh, well.
Right? Because you've won a couple of those, right?
A couple of, I do want to clarify, it is Ohio Valley Emmys, but they're still given by the National Academy. So
that counts to me, dude.
Yeah.
You know how many I have? 0. So like I said,
I should have brought them all in to
that would have been
shove it in your face. You know?
Next time I come to the club, just put a couple at whatever seat you put me at, and I'll be like, oh, of course he did.
Yeah, you have to keep this on your lap the whole show. Just think about how much more successful I am.
I think about it all the time. No, first off, thank you for joining me for sure. I love the Commonwealth Sanctuary so much. It's so nice.
Thanks, man.
I mean, truly, I know I was saying this to you off camera too. Well, now you're seeing how you're experiencing in real time how serious I am about all this stuff. If for those of you who haven't been, I know I've talked about it on here a couple times in passing, but it is honestly, it's amazing. You renovated an old church, right?
Yeah, so it's this small neighborhood church, only fits 100 people, that had been built over 100 years ago, had a fire in the early 1900s, was rebuilt, and has been just about 100 years old now.
Oh, wow.
Until we renovated it. So it closed down in 2020, just the church kind of got older.
Sure.
And then a couple of friends of mine bought it, and they were like, we don't know what we're even going to do with this. It was way cheaper than they expected it to be. And then I was doing comedy just down the street at a place called The Garage a lot in Dayton, Kentucky as well.
Is that still there, by the way?
It's now a coffee shop.
Okay. I used to rent it as an office.
Okay, yeah.
Because I loved that was like such a great setup. I was like, oh, this is so cool. And the space is great.
Yeah.
Because we would just do little writers' rooms in there, especially in like in the actual garage part of it, right? Oh, a lot of great memories there. And I was like, and then I remember at some point the booking changed different. And then I saw you guys were doing comedy there. I was like, that rules. And then Commonwealth showed up. I was like, I wonder what happened to the garage.
Yeah, so nothing. They just
switched businesses.
We're working on that, and now they're renting it out to somebody. So it's great.
That's so cool. The whole Bellevue, Dayton, Kentucky area is really on the rise.
It's growing, and people don't even know that Dayton, Kentucky exists often. We have to like clarify that for our
Dayton, Kentucky.
It's not far. You could see the skyline of Cincinnati from our front porch, but so often we don't know. We might just consider that Bellevue or something like that if we're if you haven't gone much.
Yeah.
But now going there, it's like there's a whole amazing community growing here.
Yeah.
We were talking about before Wayfarer and Tuba and
Galactic. My gosh, so many great things. And Drew was one of my early guests on the show because we had found out there was like a National Pretzel Day, and he just it happened to be timed up. And I was like, hey, we're doing this National Pretzel Day. He's like, I'll actually be at Fairfield tomorrow. Do you want to do it? I was like, yes.
Perfect.
And then, well, if you met him before, he's like the sweetest guy ever. And I think I definitely a little too much energy too early in the morning at him. And I was just like, we good? We can edit this. You know, I love them so much, the Rath family.
So great.
Before we go too far, I'm going to pour you a sip of this sample in here. You're fine. I know we talked about this off here. Shawn was very polite, and he was just like, should I open the snacks beforehand, and I was like, do it on. It's a little ASMR. Let's see here.
I was hungry though.
Yeah, it was a good time. Well, so today I thought I'd start. I'm always getting tons of samples sent to me, and this is from a company called Fruve. So we don't carry them here. It says things on the back like, drink the rainbow. For optimal health, your body needs a rainbow of nutrients. Fruve contains the vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants derived from fruits, vegetables, and marine plants vital to your overall health. And it tastes delicious.
Wow. The drink the rainbow sounds a little close to other
somebody's getting a
marketing.
lawsuit, maybe. Yeah, it's like, can I taste it? They're like, don't say that.
You're not tasting. You're just drinking. You have no taste buds in this scenario.
Exactly. Just tell it's good. It does contain 15 fruits and vegetables. It says sugar-free. It's keto-friendly. They're listing as fruit. There's a ton of vitamins in here, too. Actually, honestly, just looking at the vitamin list, they're all at 100% of your daily value. That actually kind of nice.
Yeah.
I'm curious about this one because I haven't tried it. This is part of their super water line. Sorry to keep dragging it out before you can try it. This one's pineapple strawberry, allegedly. So I don't know.
I like those flavors. So
me too. It's got a nice... Well. The color's interesting. It comes out the same color. And you're allowed to not like it, by the way.
Thanks for the permission.
Yeah. Be honest here. Yeah. That'd be great.
Spit take. It
kind of reminds me of like a fruit tea, maybe, you know?
Yeah. It's much more subtle than I was kind of expecting. But I
Same.
should have known with the water being, super water.
For sure.
That's the big...
It does feel super. I thought it was going to have, it has a touch of that vitamin back end taste, you know? Mm-hmm. I did listen to this. It was like chill and shake. We did both of those things.
Okay,
I would actually have more. Would you like some more? Right.
I'll take some more.
Yeah. They'll love this.
So is this an energy drink? Is that like,
I think it's just supposed to be like a kind of like a vitamin beverage. Okay. They have multiples in line. They make some of the samples I haven't tried yet are, one's a protein drink. Mm-hmm. And the other one, there's a tea one, and I think there's like smoothies as well in the lineup. So I'm kind of curious to go through it. This was just one that I put in the fridge first because I was like, pineapple strawberry sounds great. This is a good way in. Yeah, I would give this a positive review though.
Yeah, each drink, I think I like it more.
I was actually the first one I had, I was like, oh, there's a good amount of the vitamin flavor, but the pineapple strawberry is good. But the more saying, it's like, now I'm in.
Yeah. What they say about the Kool-Aid.
That's right.
You got to drink it.
Leave the kids out of it this time. Oh my gosh. So I think I did kind of interrupt mid-story though, as I tend to on the podcast.
Yeah. No, I was talking about the start of Commonwealth. I mean, I was a comedian, or I still am. I like to think so, at least.
Yeah. It's the public perception, as I've been told.
Yeah. I haven't won Best Comedian, though.
But I think you're on the list, right?
I mean, maybe.
I thought it was funny last year that I won Best Filmmaker, and I'm like, I'm working on 2, but like I haven't released one since 2021 or 2.
When the people speak,
I have to listen. I'm not mad about it. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm never mad about it. I'm just mad at the responses afterwards. I'm like, guys, I don't know if you know how popularity contests works. I just ask people to vote. If they agree,
I have friends.
Be mad at them. You know what I mean?
Be mad at the voters. Yeah, I get
That's how it should be. That's the political climate right now. Right. Be mad at the voters.
You just need, or do you have billionaires in your corner? Is that how?
I don't know if I do. I don't. Jungle. What kind of, how many digits? Are we Trace Comas? What's going on here?
Mr. Jim. How much dinero?
You know, I will say, though, that having him backing me legitimately, jokes aside, obviously he's changed a lot of things. Like, I've been doing great work, in my opinion, my whole career. Just nobody cared until
people weren't
like,
seeing it. And then now you have a platform.
They're just like, oh, yeah. They're like, great. Okay, we like this guy. And it's like open doors for other opportunities. So I'm always very thankful for it.
And the freedom to be yourself, it seems like and there's a lot of you around this space.
It's kind of crazy, right? I remember early on, Jungle made a joke. He's like, you don't have to tell him you like everything. I was like, okay. I didn't feel that I had to, but I was like, I won't be a jerk about it. He's like, I didn't think you would be, but he was like, but be honest with him. If you don't like something, you should let him know. And I was like, yeah, well, so far, I mean, there's 200,000 items here. Of course, something I'm going to hate.
You have,
you know?
Eventually. That would be unrealistic if every time you're like, this is amazing too.
Yeah. And I'm excited because you're busting out some of my, well, this isn't one I've tried yet. I think this is a newer one. It's got kind of like I just noticed the eyeball lineup in the center. But that was from, does that say Kiss Bakery or Queen's Bakery on it?
Kiss Cake Bakery.
Kiss Cake Bakery. So here at Jungle Gyms,
Cincinnati.
we carry a lot of, so Cincinnati in general has a ton of different Asian bakeries. Mm-hmm. And we carry a lot of them here. And they're always making us fun new products. I keep trying to get in. Excuse me, pardon me. I keep trying to get in because I want to watch them make something in front of me.
Yeah.
So you went with the lemon custard or lemon yogurt one,
Yeah.
right? Cool.
Lemon custard.
Yeah, so it's like a soft, it should be a soft, pillowy, like brioche style bun. If those of you haven't tried Asian baked goods, I highly recommend it in general because it's like,
It's amazing, actually. This is really good.
what I always like about it is that you get that sweet center, no matter what the filling is, right? Or unless it's a savory piece altogether. But I do like that the roll part is way more. It's more like I joked with my buddy Ray earlier. I was like, it's like eating a dinner roll with dessert on.
Yeah,
the
it's
inside.
like a Hawaiian roll, King Hawaiian roll.
Yeah,
and inside of that, more
little lemon
delicious.
something. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, please just spray it atop us. Yeah. That's amazing. I'm pretty much a sucker for anything with like lemon or here we get a lot of yuzu items. So I'm just like, extra lemon, as I like to refer to it.
Yeah.
You know, that's awesome. Well, when you came in, I was like, well, let's go through. We'll try some things and see what you think. And, but I think you and I made a beeline in similar areas. We're like, we got to go through Asian beverages. We got to go through, honestly, it's like the Asian snacks. I imagine that if I were to really look at the numbers overall here, I bet that's like probably one of our biggest departments.
It has to be, yeah.
I know international is like international produce is a big one too, but you kind of get it blended in there a little bit. But I love that we can just go through and, okay, honestly, one, I'm really excited. And we've talked about this before on TikTok and stuff. But when I mentioned this to you, your eyes lit up a little bit. And I was like, I got it. This is a gift for Shawn. I love this brand a lot. This is from Spain. The brand's called Torres. They do a bunch of unique chip flavors. The one that seems to sell out the most is sparkling wine.
Okay, it's a chip flavor?
It is.
And
And it tastes sort of like, when you go to not a cheap wedding, but like a classic American wedding where it's like, done at receptions or something. Yeah. Imagine if you took a bite of everything off the buffet line at once with a glass of wine. That's kind of the flavor though. So it didn't quite hit for me. I was like, all right, not feeling it. But these are weird, but kind of in a fun way. Okay. And I don't know. I'm just curious to see your take because they're fried egg chips.
I'm excited to try them.
Yeah, dude, you got to. I'm going to slide those over, and then we'll talk about some of the upcoming shows. I'm going to bust into this lemon drink. Would you like to try this as well?
Sure, yeah.
Wait. Or excuse me, did I say lemon? I meant melon. Well, one of those weeks.
Just the L and the M switching.
Shawn, I don't know how to broach this for everybody, but it turns out I'm illiterate. I've been succeeding in spite of these drawbacks.
That's actually very funny.
Yeah.
So
can you imagine if that was true too? You're like, oh,
you're like
really?
actually just being vulnerable right now.
Yeah,
like,
right.
I'm
and
trying
they're
to tell you. Oh yeah, that's
just in case.
Now, this one looks like a Surge or something like that.
Oh,
like one of those '90s Mountain Dew ripoffs.
Just a little bit of antifreeze color in it.
Yeah. But that is really good, I think.
It is really good. You know what? My first thought too is like, with all these melon drinks, I'm always looking at it like, is it going to be super fake?
Yeah.
This is like a nice halfway point where I'm like, I get a little fake melon, but I also feel like I taste the rind. You know what I mean?
Definitely. It has a little bit more sweetness to it than like on the front end than a melon does.
I love this.
But it's so good.
That is awesome.
All right, try the
it's chip time. Let me know what you think. Do you smell them already?
Yeah.
It's weird. And there's no egg in those. That's the craziest part. Wait till you try it. I'm sorry.
Here we go.
Burying the lead.
I'm not even trying to play it up for the I'm like, what?
I know, dude. It's nuts. It's like one of the most insane tasting things.
Messing with my mind
Yeah.
because I'm like, there's an egg in my mouth right now.
It's kind of, and like the weird part of it being kind of kettle cooked is it has that right texture almost. It's like, somebody was saying recently, they're like, it's like we ate the crispy edges of an egg out of the pan. And I'm like, yeah,
that's totally it. Yeah.
It's good.
It's great.
They have they do a truffle one. They've got one that's like foie gras, or not foie gras. What am I thinking of? What's the other? Caviar, I think. So many
caviar. I don't even know what that tastes like, so I would eat it and be like,
oh, it sounds good. I think I love this. Yeah. And it just it's like, well, we mostly love chips.
Just salt. Thank you.
Yeah, right. Exactly. A hint of fishiness in the background. You're like just enough so you know it's real. Going back to the Commonwealth, have you been in there since it started?
Yeah,
Is that like your baby from the beginning, right?
Yeah, me and Nathan and Jacoba, who are the other two folks that run it, they're the two friends that own the building and had started the business. And they had come to me when they knew that the garage show was ending, which I was just doing once a month there.
Yeah.
But they were like, would you like to do more comedy? Like, we have this old building, this old church, and we don't know if this would be a space that would work for comedy or if you, what would you like to be involved?
Yeah.
And I was like, absolutely. Yes. This sounds so fun. But we had no idea where it was going to go. We didn't know what. So we just started planning, started booking some things, had just a little bit of money to work with.
Yeah.
And then in July of 23, we opened.
That's right.
So right in the middle of the summer. And then that day, our AC, like one of the AC units went out.
Of course.
So like just half the room couldn't get AC.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
It was so hot, middle of July.
I bet.
It was, and people were, because we're in an old church, people were using the menus as like fans. I was like, maybe we should just lean into this and get like church fans.
That honestly would be very funny.
But we wanted to get the air conditioning fixed. It's a little bit of a deterrent for people to come out and pay tickets
for sure.
Be hot in an old church.
You're like, yeah, tickets are half off, just like your shirts will be.
Yeah. Also, please take your clothes off at the door. This isn't my request. It's for yours.
Yeah, this is more of a necessity at this point. It's July. You've lived here.
But we got that fixed after a couple weeks, but it was just one of those starts that was just like, oh man. And I just feel like running any kind of business or whatever, you run into those things.
Sure.
But doing something, doing an old church or doing a comedy club in an old church in a part of northern Kentucky that people don't even know exists sometimes.
Yeah.
On a residential street, we're just one block off of.
Sure.
So it's like, it's off the beaten path and you wouldn't just happen upon it. You're going to have to be on the way there.
Yeah.
But there's also something kind of cool about that. So I know you have come to a couple of shows.
Yeah.
And did you have trouble finding it?
No, not at all.
But
I actually, do you mind if I get on my soapbox for a second? How in the hell does anybody not find anything these days? Like every phone has GPS.
Right.
I don't really know anybody that I deal with on a regular basis. Obviously, some people can't afford smartphones. They're not who I'm talking about. Yeah. If you have a smartphone and you can't get to somewhere, maybe I don't want you there. I'm being rude about it a little bit, but it does drive. Whenever somebody writes me, I can't find it, I'm like, how did you do 20 years ago? How did you do 10 years ago when GPS was...
How do you get anywhere?
Right, exactly. I'm like, do you know anything? And I'm like, what happens once you get out of the car? Do you just not know what numbers look like on the side of the building? I mean, I will continue to be rude, but this is not the views of you all, but this is the views of just Mark.
Yes.
It's a big-ass church with a sign out front that says where you're going.
Yeah.
I don't understand how you get... You'd think. I have learned so much about people in the last, let's say, 10 years.
They're not surprising.
I almost said I don't respect their intelligence, but I guess I did just say it, so it's out now. It blows my mind. I really don't know how that's a thing, truly, in this day and age. I'm like, just tell me you don't want to go.
Yeah.
That's okay.
For some people, that's probably, it's like, I want this to be in a strip mall or something like that if I'm going to go to a comedy show. And it's like, well, then you're probably not the kind of audience that we're trying to build.
Yeah, you guys have like it's a nice, quiet residential neighborhood. I've gone to 2 shows that were both sold out. I parked very close to the building, which is something that's a concern for me as part of the handy capable or whatever we're calling ourselves these days. But like that is something that factors into a lot of my journeys where I'm like, okay, is this somewhere we got to walk a mile to park? Because then I live in Northern Kentucky. I'm like, do I just Uber over? And the answer is no, because I always find parking over there. Again, and at sold out shows. So at a time when there shouldn't be anything, there should be plenty of deterrents in my way.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist. I mentioned this to you off air, but I'll say it again here. You're currently the only... This is not to disparage the other comedy clubs because I love them too, but you have like fresher food options. And the one thing I can't really believe that I haven't yet seen, I'm sure they've adopted it since. I don't get out as much as I'd like to, but I love that you guys carry the THC sodas there.
Yeah.
I mean, I do a lot of work with Costello and Urban Artifact anyway, obviously through here. But the first time I came was for Todd Barry, and I was just like, oh, a little Costello, a little THC soda at a comedy show. Geez, that doesn't make... I don't know if anything makes more sense than that.
It's perfect, right? Yeah. We actually, one of the reps was a guest at our shows regularly, and he saw that we had Doug Benson coming up, which we did last year, and we do have him coming up in a few months.
He's doing another Doug Love movie, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
And when he saw that, he was like, oh, I sell these, and I can sell them in Kentucky now. Like, he had just gotten like approval to do that. So weeks before the Doug Benson show, we started selling them.
That's perfect.
They've been a huge hit.
Yeah, of course.
And the food, we actually work with Kate's Catering, which is just a couple blocks away, local in Dayton, Kentucky also. And we have sandwiches with cold cuts and stuff supplied by them, like really delicious pita chips, all sorts of dips and stuff like that.
Everything. I was looking at the menu. I remember sitting there the first night. I was like, I shouldn't have eaten before I came here, kind of a thing. But then even then, it was like, I know these might sound, well, you know me now. The prices were right. I felt like comfortable. Like it was one of those where I was like, oh, I can kind of splurge a little bit. Whereas, how shall I say, some of the more commercial clubs, you know, as much as I want to pay $14 for chicken tenders, I'd much rather have a sandwich that was made by somebody who seems at least willing to pretend that they like me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was it. Like the menu's great, dude. And it has a lot of other fun things. One of my other favorite things that I think is very unique to you all is the silent ordering system.
Yeah. So
is that a you idea?
Well, a little bit in the sense that I had worked a little bit at this comedy club in Louisville called Planet of the Tapes.
Okay.
And they have a silent ordering system for all their comedy shows. And they just have like a bartender that's in the same room as the showroom and just walks out, grabs it. And I was like, that's so genius. Why are more clubs not doing this? Because any talking, any disturbance can like throw off a show.
For sure.
And it also just encourages people to talk more if they have to talk to their wait staff. They're just in that mindset. So if you're just like nipping it in the bud from the start, there's no reason for you to be talking at all. I mean, you can still whisper to your friend or something. I'm not saying never talk, but you know, there's no reason that you have to. And so it keeps the shows pretty tame. We haven't had a lot of problems with people. There's a few because sometimes people can't help themselves still. But we had to throw somebody out at the Todd Barry show. That was the only time we ever had to do that. Were you there that time?
Yes. Okay. And it cracked me up because she was under control until the last joke of the night.
Yeah, he was literally like, this is my last joke, essentially. And then she... So that's why we were just quick to be like, you're
it was
gone.
great.
Just
It was incredibly well handled too.
Yeah.
I mean, look, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I like a little bit of heckling. It obviously depends on the artist.
Yeah. Todd Barry doesn't want that.
No, he's not that guy. Whereas who did I see? I saw Jean-Marco Cerezi a couple weeks later, who I was like, he could probably take a couple swings before it's like, get him out of here.
Yeah.
I felt so bad for Todd Barry because he was like, he's clear. He's one of those comics I've wanted to see forever. Mm-hmm. I finally got the chance and he handled it so well. But I honestly thought about that for weeks afterwards. Where I was just like, he was like, I'm in the middle of my last joke right now. I'm a sentence away from the punchline. And I just love, he's like that very muted, low key energy. I was like, this guy rules even more than I thought he did.
And it was such a great, cool and collected about it.
Yeah. And no emotion. I mean, the whole night, even afterwards, I was like, nice to meet you. He was like, nice to meet you as well. I was like, what? Can you teach me this level of Zen?
Are you Zen or are you just...
Yeah. Or have you just been in this for your entire career?
You're like, a wall up that you're like, everybody.
You had Max Fine that night too. That was great.
Yeah,
that was
Max
great
Fine.
Lineup. Yeah,
we loved having Max Fine.
Yeah,
Cincinnati loves Max Fine.
I was gonna say I never met him until that night, but I knew he was like friends with Logan and Carl and all those guys, and I was like, okay, this is a fun thing. Yeah, I guess this is really when you first were like, hey, let's do something. I was like, good. I love what you're doing down there. I love the artists you're bringing in.
It really means a lot.
Dude, it's one of those things I can't tell you enough. Look, as somebody who gets to work in one of the area's coolest places, I kind of do feel like every so often I need these episodes where I'm like, we're not the only game in town doing fun stuff. And it's far enough away that there's no competition. Like, you know what I mean? Also, I was looking at it like, well, what are we competing with? We're not doing comedy here.
We're trying to also sell a lot of...
what is that? Arctic Orange? How was that, by the way?
This is pretty good. Yeah,
okay,
it's like a orange soda. Yeah.
I see it every so often, and but the titling of Ocean always throws me. I was like, is this gonna be salty? I don't know why.
Because ocean, I've
been
in the ocean. I get
right.
I get what you're doing.
The world's largest graveyard. I hate to think about it. It sort of scared me off the ocean. I was like, oh, do you know how many dead bodies are in this? In every sip, I'd hate to find out.
Every sip, just a little bit.
I bet there's a scientist that can help. And if you're that scientist, reach out to me, podcast@junglejims.com. Oh my gosh. We were talking about some great lineups and stuff that you've got coming up. So we're at beginning of February right now? I don't know what time it means anymore. We're at the beginning of February now. What have you got on the docket right now that you're really excited about?
Just coming up very, very soon, just because I know this is one I'm excited about locally. We have a great local headliner named Mark Shalafu. He tours nationally.
Yeah. He's written for like Bob and Tom and a bunch of other programs like that. He just had that great article. I forget what magazine.
Inquirer,
was he Inquirer? Yeah. But about the Sundance coming to town, right? Yeah. Great writer too.
Super great writer. Has a dry bar special. Was on Skankfest. Nate Land did a special with them too. So he's got
that's so cool.
A bunch of really cool credits. But he's just a super funny guy too. Yeah. And he's recording an album, his next live album, at our space on February 15th.
Super
so
cool.
At 7
okay, so
p.m.
that's coming up next week.
This weekend. This coming weekend.
Yeah. As of the time, I'm airing this the same week. So. Yeah. That's amazing.
So that's one that's just upcoming, but we also have a lot of really exciting names for us. We have Rory Scovel coming in June 6th and 7th. Cool. Those shows are already, the tickets are moving. So people, if you want them, I would get the tickets like now. Michael Ian Black is coming back. We've had him before, but
I missed him last year. I was very disappointed in that. Yeah. I bought those tickets and I was like, you know what if I throw myself down a flight of stairs today?
That's a good way to just test fate. Like, am I supposed to be at this show? Fate will find a way.
Yeah, exactly. This is my contribution to trying to do the state sketch.
Yeah.
Was just throwing myself down a flight of stairs. Like, he'll get it.
He'll get it. He won't even know I'm not there, but he'll know. Yeah, that was an interesting experience because I was checking everybody in, and then we were getting ready to start the show, and I'm like, oh, it says we still have like 2 people that are, and I looked and I was like, Mark's not here?
Yeah.
And then
later we're posting the Photoshopped bone photo on my Facebook page.
I was like, why would Mark not be here?
I can't believe how many people believed the fake bone photo. It was just like a chicken bone that we Photoshopped in there. I was like, that's not how the human anatomy works at all.
We just thought it was your anatomy.
It might. Honestly, the jury's still out. I do find it interesting how good I go with blue cheese dressing. So maybe you're not too far.
I've heard that.
Rory Scovel is going to be amazing.
He's one of my favorite comedians. And if you don't know who Rory Scovel is, just search him. He's got a bunch of great specials. He's one of the best working comics today. But we have Doug Benson coming up also.
Always a fun time.
He's going to do. It's in May 10th. He's going to do Doug Loves Movies taping, but then. Instead of doing a traditional stand-up show at all, he's also going to do Benson Movie Interruption.
Oh my God, that'll be fun, actually.
So him and whoever his other comedians that are on the show for Doug Loves Movies will stick around. And
feeling Jeff Tate might be one of them.
I'm imagining he will. Yeah. I haven't gotten
Jeff, I know we don't really know each other, but we kind of seem to, and we follow each other on platforms. Come hang out with us beforehand.
Yeah, come on down to Junglejims, Jeff. You can eat fried egg chips. Fried egg chips.
I'm going to send him this clip later. I swore I unfollowed him.
He'll be like, now I know the reminder is.
I ran into Jeff, and I'd been seeing him at Go Banana since I was like 19, right?
Of course.
And then he blew up through all this, obviously, hard work and excellent comedy. And then I ran into him when I was working in LA a bunch, probably about 10 years ago. And he sees me. He's like, what are you doing here? And I was kind of like, because I didn't know.
That he would know you?
Or recognize. And I think I was just a loud person in the crowd, right? And he was just like, what are you doing here? And I was like, oh, just working. He goes, if you came here to be a comic, it's a terrible idea. And I was like, and if you know Jeff, I'm assuming, right? He's direct. He's not like
he's a very direct guy.
And again, and mind you, at this point, I really still don't know him. I've just seen him do stand up forever, and I'm like, at the time I was doing Urban Street Apparel, so I was just like hanging out at the comedy club because they gave me free tickets all the time. Yeah. It was a very, very funny thing. He's like, you promise, right? And I was like, yeah. He's like, if you want to, he's like, go blow up in Cincinnati, then come up here. I was like, okay, well. Thank you. It was like such a funny thing where I was like, thank you. I promise. I'm just trying to sell illegal t-shirts, dude. But you know what I mean?
Now you can send him this clip and be like, look, man, I made it. I followed your advice.
I was like, now who's eating professionally? Maybe
you've heard of Junglejims?
Hey, man, you're not trying to grocery shop out here, are you? It was, but realistically, probably amazing advice. He clearly meant it in a kind way. It was not like a
it sounds like a dick thing to say, but it's like, actually, I'm caring about you as a human being. You're going to go. It was
probably one of the nicest things someone ahead of me has ever said to me in my career. And mind you, I'm just like trying to go to the bathroom. I was like, no, dude, I'm just free tickets. I love this place. I'll hear all the time.
What are you doing here?
It was so funny. And, again, I knew it was not like a rude thing, but I can imagine someone softer in that situation be like, what the hell is this guy's problem? Yeah. I'm like, did me a solid. I never went and signed up in the belly room. You know what I mean? Do you know how bad that would have gone? Maybe okay, but like
you'd probably be hosting SNL now.
That would be amazing.
So he actually maybe gave you bad advice.
Maybe Jeff.
You were the competition.
Whole life up. I backed the wrong Jeff Tate. I should have backed the Queensryche guy.
He's the good one. I don't mean that, Jeff. I love you.
Now, Jeff, I want to see that Jeff Tate sing Queensryche song. So actually, maybe that's what I'll get him to do here. I'll be like, God damn it!
Every time we've had Jeff Tate at Commonwealth, somebody comments on it on one of our posts and is like, that's the wrong Jeff Tate or something like that.
Is it? Because this is a comedy club. Like if you wanted to hear a rock opera, go see him at the Taft Theater.
Yeah. You're not going to see a rock opera here.
It's just, again, like I said, for the last 10 years, I've just been hyper aware that like, I never want to be like, I'm the smart person in the room or in the conversation, but like it happens a lot more than it should in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think I'm a smart person like that. I just feel weirdly prepared for this right now. You know what I mean?
that's all that it is, really. It's just preparation.
Yeah.
Maybe it's all the fried egg chips you're eating.
Listen, it's a lot of egg power. There's some good yolk in the room. Speaking of, did we get through? Oh, let me try one of these foamies because they sounded weird to me too. This is one you picked out. These are from Roundtree's. They're called Roundtree's Random Ice Cream. Ice to meet you. And yeah, there's, okay, they do look cute though.
They're adorable.
Yeah, like little,
I
it's
did
like a
have
little ice
one
cream
before.
cone.
I'm going to eat one now too, just so I can.
I see exactly what you meant in your off-camera review, which was...
I said, this is exactly what I thought it would taste like and nothing like I thought it would taste like. Something to that.
yeah, it's both great and not amazing. Mm-hmm. It is like, what did it say? Something about being like a soft pillow in your mouth?
It does. Which, again, soft pillow is great, but in my mouth, not always.
Yeah,
great.
exactly.
I'm kind of like, what do I do with you right now?
Like, roll over. I'm a side sleeper. This is not helpful. You know, where do I fit my CPAP mask in this?
That's true. I have to wear that. Maybe I'll just stuff my CPAP mask with these, and then over.
It's a filtration, and all night you'll just be like, loose vanilla, maybe fruit flavor. That was the other thing. I can't tell you what that was that I ate. It was an ice cream cone shape. I think it's vanilla.
It says the flavor is ice cream. That's
okay. That is. I'm an idiot.
But I don't know what.
Yeah, because on the back I thought it said something about passionate fruits, and I was like, wait, not passion fruit. That's a fruit.
They're passionate about creating fun and juicy sweets.
Oh,
bursting with fruity flavors.
We're bursting with fruity flavors. I knew I read fruit on there. See, it's like I said. Illiterate. This show's secretly about literacy. I'm trying to drive that.
Just be like, do you want to be like me?
Yeah, probably not.
It does explain why we were out there. You were just like, that's a cool picture. That's a cool. I was like, what is it? You're like, I don't know.
This is how you find out. Like, oh my God. I know I've got a couple more here to pop through in the meantime. You're still doing stand-up, right?
Yeah.
What was your stand-up philosophy? Like, what made you get into this in the first place?
Oh, man. I can give you a long answer, a short answer.
I mean, it's a podcast.
Right,
we got 3.5
let's do the long
hours.
answer. All right. We're going to Rogan it right now?
Yeah, let's go. It's like, so how many aliens have been here?
That's when it started, was when I got anally probed.
The first abduction.
No, I used to be a pastor, actually. And like I grew up religious. I really meant well, but I just while being a pastor went through sort of a crisis of faith and also went through a divorce. And around that same time, I had always loved stand-up, but never had done it because it was terrifying to me.
Sure.
But I was just like, screw it. I'm just going to do stand-up.
Yeah.
I'm going to try it. And I started going to open mics, and it was addictive. And it helped me through some of the hard times just to have something that I was pouring that into. Like the jokes or whatever that I was writing, they weren't like sad jokes necessarily. Sometimes they were.
Sure.
And they bombed. But then sometimes they were, it was just me working some stuff out.
Sure.
And I realized this is the thing that I've loved more than probably doing any other job and have wanted to do. But because of that, I've been so afraid of doing. Mm-hmm. And the people that have drawn me into doing that, are people like Mike Birbiglia, Neil Brennan, Mark Maron, guys that do stories and do a little bit more thoughtful, introspective type stuff.
Yeah. 2/3 of them I've stood in line for the bathroom with at the Comedy Store.
And did they say, what are you doing here?
Mark Maron was way friendlier than I thought he would ever be, especially because we were in the line for the restroom.
Yeah.
And I kind of was just I tried to not talk to him, but I'm, again, a little wobbly in the moment sometimes.
Sure.
I don't really drink much or anything like that, but it was just one of, that's part of the handicap, right?
Yeah.
And so I keep bumping this dude, and I find I'm like, oh God, I keep elbowing Mark Maron. But he was really cool about it. He was very friendly. We talked for a little bit in the line. You've seen him ever, right?
Yeah.
He does not seem like the guy that's going to be like, how's it going? He sort of seems like the guy that's like, please, politely would ask you to leave him alone.
Yeah.
I had the exact opposite.
He would have
experience.
the wall up we talked about with Todd Barry or something. You would think, but instead,
he was pretty outgoing. But Neil Brennan was super friendly too.
That's always good to hear.
I love the restroom breaks at the.
There you go. You just stand by the restroom the whole time.
I will tell you a few. I almost got kicked out of there, and if it weren't for a very famous lady that thought I was funny, I would have been banned from the store. And they were like, what are you doing to her? And they're like, we've asked him to leave twice, kind of thing. She's like, he's funny. And I was like, thank you. But
saved your life.
It kind of, honestly, because at the time I was going there every other week. And I was like, dude, this is the only thing I do when I'm in LA. It's like this or sit in the hotel room. Please don't take out my one outlet, That's amazing though. I love it. Bringing a little bit of that cerebral, kind of.
And it's not like all my jokes are super intelligent necessarily.
No, but I get it.
There's still the normal stuff is talked about, but also just trying to bring some of those things that I feel afraid to talk about to light, because that's funny. Like when you are vulnerable, there's something that can come up out of that is funny because it's so against like what we normally do. We normally try to put up a mask, be fake, and people respond so much more strongly to when they feel like the joke is coming from you, the person, not just like this is a joke. Like no, whoever, like there's a judgment that people make when a comedian comes on stage. They see your race, they see your age, they see what you're wearing. Yeah, they're like, already judging. Guy. And then you have to be able to be aware of that enough to comment on that, whether directly or through whatever kinds of jokes you're telling.
Sure.
And I find that part fascinating too, just especially as a former pastor. Like that was, you want to create an experience for people. I was a documentary filmmaker. Yeah. I haven't done that in a while now, but we always wanted to also just connect to that like vulnerable side, but also use it as a way to like bring a lot of people together and help people understand each other.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what I found is the really incredible thing that running a stand-up comedy club or running a comedy club in general has done for me, is shown me the things that I wanted to create before that I created, but they weren't quite satisfying. They've kind of been all intertwined in what I'm doing now, where I feel like I'm a pastor still. I feel like I'm building a community. I feel like I'm helping people become a more like authentic or honest version of themselves, creating space where people can like find some belonging of some sort.
That's beautiful.
And at the same time, we're just telling jokes, but there's so like on any given night, like tonight, Monday nights, every Monday we have an open mic. It's free to come to. Mm-hmm. So if people want to come watch, even it's every Monday at 7:30, and we have like Blake Hammond, Cy Amundsen, these kind of guys, Shalafu,
killers.
They're coming down to the open mic to work out their stuff alongside the up and comers. And so it's a fun show that's, but you're seeing in that night, you're seeing somebody that's a college student next to a person that's like in their 50s next to Cy Amundsen, who's been on Comedy Central and Conan, and then next to an immigrant. You're just seeing
Cronin.
Yeah.
I miss Irv so much.
Right. Irv, man, the real Irv.
The real Irv. I've seen Cy a couple times. I've never met him, but like so funny.
Yeah.
I need to come down to that too.
So
is that
funny.
the Joke Gym or is that a different
Joke Gym
thing?
so that's once a month. Josh Sneed and Mark Shalafu and
Josh
Cy
Sneed.
and Blake also.
Cool.
It's sort of like Nice Kill Tony. So they're a panel.
Yeah.
And people come up and tell jokes, and then they're giving feedback. Yeah, they're not just
like, you look stupid. I'm the coolest person on the day. You're like, oh God.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds awesome, actually. Yeah. I love Josh Sneed and Blake Hammond, another killer here. Blake's always been really good to me and very helpful and friendly.
Exactly, and they're also working out their stuff at that show too.
Cool.
So like you're getting to see a little bit behind the curtain of people that you're gonna have. They're gonna have comedy specials out in the world. That you're gonna be like, I saw that come together.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about too, and I wonder how many people in the audience. So thinking about all this. Here, let me pour you a little splash.
Oh
for our
yeah,
next
yes,
sipper.
please. Because that one sounded really good too.
I'm hyped. I hope this one is as good as I've heard it is. I love seeing these people come out, and I like for the audience's sake, right? Because like the audience is looking, it's like a bid to connect, right? Mm-hmm. So you're hoping, I'd assume at least that you're hoping that you make some sort of grand connection with the people that you're watching perform, right? It could be a little bit of anything. And so having those moments, I think, is really cool. And then doubly so to be able to go, because I would imagine most comedy fans even don't really know that it's like, this is a long, you kind of have big picture. You're like, this joke just didn't come out as a heater. This joke came out as a clunky mess maybe the first time. And then it's like, how do I navigate this? Not even just from like the written word into spoken word, but it's like then how I'm speaking it, the cadence, all these little tiny aspects to try to connect with these people. It's magic to me.
There's some jokes that I have that I've worked the same punch. Everything about the joke is the same except my intonation on the punchline. I tried like 3 or 4 different times at different open mics or shows, and then I'd be like, that's still not quite working. And then like one would work, and I'm like, okay, gotta let that click in now. Like,
I imagine it's got to be so much easier these days too. Easier in that we have tools to help us catch on, right? Like, you know, 10 years ago. I mean, hell, I'm even thinking about like my auditions, how much they've changed, right? Where it was like, I used to just let someone else tape it. Now I'm taping it in the living room on my phone. I can watch it back and be like, that sucked.
Yeah. Then just try another one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now with, we have cameras at the club that we record every show with.
That's cool.
And so the open mic, you can get your set if you want to. We also, just in general, as a comedian, like having my cell phone on me, just recording my sets so I can listen back and be like, oh, that's where I went wrong. And it's painful to listen back. Sure. Especially if you bombed.
Yeah, but that's how growth is. Yeah. Growth is painful.
It's so that first step of doing that more often to get used to it is one of the bigger steps, I feel like, in becoming a comedian. Yeah. Just being like, no, you're actually going to listen and do this work.
Truly in any art form or anything you want to do. You're like the first step. What's the Adventure Time quote? The first step to sucking is the first step to being sort of good at something. Do you know what I mean? But like accepting that is probably the hardest part for a lot of people, I would assume.
Because you feel like, oh, I suck now.
Right.
And it's like, you do suck at this right now, but so did you at everything else.
Also, so did everyone that's a killer.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Every so often you have somebody that's like naturally gifted at a thing, but that's so few and far between. It's not a realistic bar. You know what I mean? It's like Michael Phelps with the way he's built for swimming. You're like, listen, dude, I'm not built that way, but I bet if I put in enough work, I could still be worse at it than him. You know what I mean? I'm excited for this one, Shawn. This is so, you know, I think I've mentioned it here a few times, but we have this whole, as you saw today, the whole Asian beverage wall now that we've got all this stuff. So this is from a company called Moshi, and they keep bringing new flavors out, but this one sounded really good. This is a sparkling UG matcha. It says white strawberry. Well, I can smell a little matcha on this and a little bit of maybe fruit flavor. So I'm guessing that's it. I'll drink that.
Yeah. Again, that's really good.
Yeah, that is good. It's not very sweet at all. It's like just a hint. It's like a little, the strawberries kissing me on the way out. Love that. It's on its way to work. Love you.
I'll be back. I don't know what that means, but
yeah, I'm like, see you at 5, babe.
Let me just.
That's good. I love this. Swirl gently for the best experience. Well, I just turned it upside down politely, but you can see at the bottom there's like a little bit of like sediment. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have a little more of that. Let me see if I can get that swirl going more aggressively. There we go. Would you like a little more as well?
Sure. Now that you got that aggressive swirl.
Yeah, exactly. Now we have even more matcha in our day. That's awesome. Oh yeah, I forgot these two. This is another one that came into Japan. Garlic Aio tasted corn snack, and it says garlic and oil on the outside. They look like cute little rings. I'll pass these over too. Yeah. I'd like to try.
Definitely. Nice little.
Those taste better than I thought they would. The texture is not exactly as exciting as I wanted, but I would eat those again.
Yeah.
It's like a little soft, but not like it's not stale.
It's like a puff, it's like the Cheetos that are puffy. Exactly.
Where you're like, oh, I always want them to be aggressively crunchy. I'm noticing that now. I'm like, I need an aggressive crunch. I want an aggressively carbonated drink. The flavor's great on that. It's like kind of like buttery garlic.
It's really tasty.
Yeah.
It's just, maybe if like you crumbled it up and put it on something like as a.
Oh yeah. Maybe torch it up a little bit. Let me hold this up to camera just for those of you who are not listening to the audio only version of the show. They look pretty good. It is funny, though, because we joked about they have the picture of the stir fry in the back. I mean, it does kind of taste more like stir fry than I thought it was going to.
It does.
I'm into that. So let's see here. So we've talked about the Commonwealth. We've talked about this. We talked about some upcoming shows. Michael Ian Black. Doug loves movies. I love the Benson interruption happening, too. That's going to be so cool.
It's going to be.
That's a fun show, anyway.
Have you seen that show before?
Not ever live, just because he did it on Comedy Central a couple years back, I felt like, right?
Well, he did.
Or he just did the Benson interruption.
Benson interruption, not the movie interruption. I don't think.
Okay, so different then. But I was
like stand-up performers were performing, and then he would interrupt.
So he's doing this in mid.
He's doing it. It's sort of like Mystery Science Theater kind of stuff. I love that so he's just gonna watch the movie, and probably Jeff Tate will be there, and maybe somebody else.
I love that.
And then they'll just make fun of the movie.
Sounds awesome.
And it's the audience is encouraged to bring DVDs.
Oh, cool.
And then we'll vote on which movie we're going to watch.
That's amazing.
So we won't know what we're watching until we're there. And
I love that.
And then, we have a DVD player at the club, so we'll just plug it in.
Do a little bit of everything. I love that. Yeah. What's the best way to follow you guys? Like, do you have a preferred platform?
Yeah, I mean, we're on Instagram and Facebook. So just at Commonwealth Sanctuary on Instagram, or just search Commonwealth Sanctuary on Facebook. Yeah. And then CommonwealthSanctuary.com. For all our full calendar and everything like that.
And you can get tickets there.
You can get tickets there. You can see the menu there.
Yeah.
You can see parking information there. Like if you really need anything It's there. Just
if
look a little bit.
If you need to figure out a new excuse to why you're not coming out,
Yeah.
there's all the information provided.
Find something that's not there.
Yeah, exactly. Like, well, I have a bit of a water allergy. It's close to the river. So yeah, exactly. That's so funny. I am truly mad at the GPS thing. That's like one of those deep-seated hates in my heart where I'm like, I had this thought the other day where I forget what we were talking about with someone, but they were just like, maybe I was talking about something I did on the news or whatever, and they were like, yeah, it just comes out so natural. And I was like, well, the trick is I don't have any hate in my heart for real. Yeah. So I'm not really worried about just autopilot, like not autopiloting, but just like whatever I'm going to say is going to come out. Chances are there shouldn't be anything to worry about.
Yeah, yeah.
Unless we talk about the two people, and they're both driving related infractions. One being the people who lie about GPS not working properly only for when it's something that matters to you. And two, people who back into parking spaces while others are waiting.
Oh, yeah.
Like statistically, okay, great. You want to back in the parking space? I'm not mad about it. Do I think I got that kind of time?
A whole line of people.
Exactly. Now's not the time for me to find out how slow you are backing into a space. Well, statistically speaking, Mark, it's actually much safer that way. It's not. Do you know how angry I am right now? Imagine if it was someone less like together than me. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not even going to yell at you. Someone else would do something crazy, you know?
Yeah, you never know.
I'm just saying.
Just for your own safety.
Protect yourself.
Yeah.
You know, if this is how angry an otherwise well-adjusted person is, how do you think the real crazy
The Zen Master, we call you.
That's right. Yeah, it's so crazy. It's like I took the title from Phil Jackson.
Or the Borazin Master.
Oh, Borazin.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. To get me my Zen garden going, it's just going to be like a ridge chip and some dip that I'm scraping.
I want a cutout of you as Buddha, just like sitting. Like that's probably offensive. I guess
It could be, but I mean, I don't know. Let me look into my heritage just far enough to see if I can get away with it. That's like the one note I always go back to in my little stand-up notes clip that I have where I'm listing all of I call them superlatives, but it's more like, oh, I'm this on this side, I'm handicapped, you know what I mean? I'm like, just let you know what I'm allowed to talk about, you know what I mean? So ridiculous. Shawn, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm glad to get the chance. Awesome. I really love these moments. I said this when I had Carl in here too, but I'm glad I got a chance to actually get to know you a little bit better. Yeah. I'm looking forward to doing more fun stuff together. So now, realistically, we just got to figure out a good Commonwealth Jungle Gyms collab. Yeah. You know, bring some tour in together.
Yeah, like what? Comedy church with grocery store.
I was a half-baked thought. I'm like, I'm in. I think I just bring snacks. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Bring snacks. We can bring the comedy club up here. Like
that would be fun too. Listen, we get a pre-show interview. And we release it at some. I mean, I taped with Gianmarco in like November, but I'm so paranoid because I love him for real that I'm like, this has to be perfect.
I release this.
You know what I mean? Yeah, if it was like perfect. A comedian I liked, but I didn't like love like the way I've loved his career, I'd be like, we could put this out. You know, but it's really the podcast episode's done and ready. It was the other piece we shot that I'm like, me and Lucky are still just like massaging it. I'm like, I think we could trim another 30 seconds.
And you don't want to release one and then not release the other till later.
Of course, because I'm hoping that. You know, obviously, like anybody else, I'm just like, oh, God, you've got more fans than I do. Please, hopefully they'll click on this too.
Sure.
He's great. So anyway, thanks for that. Appreciate you getting me in there too.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's it. Get out of here, Shawn. Take your snacks and leave.
Take my fried eggs.
Yeah, that's right. Well, here, I'll do my little outro for that.
All right.
Everyone, thanks so much for tuning into the show this week. Appreciate it. I hope to see you at Commonwealth Sanctuary. Come get all your snacks at Jungle Gyms first and then eat everything else off their menu when you get down there. Thank you so much for watching the show. Thank you for supporting us on all platforms. And in the meantime, I'll see you out there in the aisles.